As a beginner Valorant player, your aim isn't the best.
Ja.
Ich brauche hier Hilfe.
Many people would say, so what? But I'd argue, what good is having supreme game sense if you can't even finish your plays? Aim is an important factor to be considered good at Valorant, which is why in today's video, I'll be giving you 5 aim tips that will help you go from a beginner to an intermediate. Watch till the very end because I include a bonus tip that will help you cut down your time to kill in half. To quickly breeze over the first tip, which is your DPI and sensitivity. Ideally, as a beginner, you want to stick with a DPI of 400 or 800. These are the most commonly used DPIs amongst professional players, and in my opinion, are the easiest to control. If you want to experiment with 1600 DPI, feel free to do so. If you chose to use 400 DPI, then your sensitivity should be anywhere between 0.6 and 0.8. If you chose to use 800 DPI, then your sensitivity should be anywhere between 0.3 and 0.4. I currently use 800 DPI with a 0.325 sensitivity. To find your own sensitivity, go into the practice range, experiment with 3 different types of inputs, and stick to the one that feels the best. Once you've decided, don't change it. For the second tip, I want to highlight the importance of mouse control. Being able to have supreme control over the movements of your mouse is incredibly important to be able to tap heads consistently. Without mouse control, your crosshair will be all over the place, making it harder for you to get consistent kills. To fix this, tracking exercises will have the most impact on your mouse control improvement. You can do this using Kovacs, Aim Labs, or the Valorant in-game practice range. If you want to use a third-party aim trainer, then choose a tracking exercise that has a skinny target moving left and right. When training, don't predict where the target is going to be. Focus on tracing the target's movements, keeping your crosshair on the target as much as you can. If you want to use Valorant's in-game range, then start off with a single bot. Move side to side, keeping your crosshair on the bot's head. If you need something a bit more difficult, you can always turn on bot strafes. While you're improving your mouse control, focus on not gripping your mouse too hard. If you look down at your forearm and your veins are popping out, then you're gripping way too hard. Release some tension so your arm is nice and relaxed. For the third tip, I want to talk about your crosshair placement. We all know that you should have your crosshair at head level, but many of you have what's called a lurking crosshair most times. This is when your crosshair starts to fall off from head position, lurking the places where it should not be. The best way to fix this is by thinking where your biggest threat is. Keep your crosshair on that angle and do not allow yourself to lose focus. If you zone out, your crosshair will start to sink. When holding the angle that is a threat, make sure to have your crosshair positioned 2 to 3 crosshair lengths from that angle. This will ensure that when we make contact, our crosshair is on the enemy rather than inside the wall. For the fourth tip, you need to know when to pre-aim and how to pre-aim properly. Pre-aiming is used to give yourself a slight advantage whenever you are at a disadvantage when peeking in an angle. When you're peeking and you're closer to the contact angle than the enemy is, chances are the enemy will be able to see your body first without having to overexpose themselves. You, on the other hand, will have to overexpose yourself more than the enemy to have a visual to secure your kill. Pre-aiming will allow us to have our crosshair on the enemy, so when we peek, we don't have to adjust our crosshair. We would only need to stop and shoot. This is far better than not pre-aiming, since by doing so, we will need to adjust our crosshair onto the enemy's head. When you find yourself in these situations, consider info peeking to see where the enemy is to have an accurate pre-aim. After info peeking, the enemy may decide to slightly change positions, but at least we have a solid idea as to where he will be. For the fifth tip, you need to get comfortable with peeling angles. You want to do this when you aren't pre-aiming. Typically, you will be shift walking or have the angle advantage, meaning you are further from the contact angle compared to the enemy who is much closer. Since we have the advantage in these situations, we want to keep our crosshair on the edge of the angle that we are clearing. Having your crosshair positioned 1 or 2 crosshair lengths from the contact angle will be just fine. When peeling angles, having great mouse control is crucial. If we don't have great mouse control, then keeping our crosshair on the edge of the angle will be difficult. To get better at this, practice tracking the edges of walls for the next few weeks. 10 minutes a day will keep the unnecessary deaths away. Now, before we end the video, I want to give you a bonus tip that will help you cut down your time to kill in half. After you have been playing the game for a while, your aim is going to naturally improve. As you improve, I need you to push yourself by reacting to enemies quicker rather than worrying about if you're aiming accurately in your matches. If you look back at your gameplay, chances are that you may be over adjusting, meaning if your crosshair was on the enemy's head at one point, you kept moving your crosshair, making it longer for you to secure the kill. A good way to practice improving this is by going into the practice range and focusing on confirming that your crosshair is on the enemy before committing to the kill. You want to get your crosshair on the enemy's head as quickly as possible with minimal adjustments. Then, as soon as you see your crosshair on the enemy's head, shoot. If we take time to focus on our reactive aim, we will be able to cut down our time to kill in half. With all these tips, you can pinpoint the exact tip you need to practice by taking a look at your in-game performance using the guide Insight. With Insight, you get insanely in-depth stats with recommended videos to help you improve your stats. If you found these tips to be helpful, consider subscribing to my channel since it's 100% free to do so. Since we are on the topic of improving your aim, I would recommend watching this video next. And deuce everyone.